Hey guys, tonight we journey into the life of Ars, the Greek god of war, in a way you probably haven't imagined. Picture a vast, dusty plain, filled with the echoing clang of swords and the distant cries of battle. Now, take a second to envision Ars, not in the heat of glorious combat, but perhaps sitting on a rock, sighing heavily as he watches yet another boring skirmish unfold. Yes, the god of war has his less than exciting days too, and you probably won't survive this journey of sleepy myths. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Feel free to drop your location and local time in the comments. It's always nice to know where you are while we drift into the land of Greek mythology. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. In the realm of ancient Greece, Ars was not just a figure of ferocious battles and grand conquests. He was also a deity tasked with the mundane aspects of war. Imagine a typical day for Ars. He wakes up, stretches his arms, and prepares for another day of tedious warfare. From dawn till dusk, Ars goes about his duties, overseeing conflicts and strategizing with warriors who often look to him for guidance. But if you think being a god of war is glamorous, think again. As he dons his gleaming armor, a tedious task in itself, Ars contemplates the endless cycle of violence that seems to stretch before him like a never-ending horizon. Historians still argue whether Ars was honored for his bravery or feared for his uncontrollable rage. Nevertheless, he is a god perpetually caught in the whirlwind of battle, a life filled with chaos that has its share of boring moments. In the quiet before the storm of battle, Ars often finds himself reflecting on the nature of war. Many would expect him to relish the excitement, but in truth, even he craves a break from the incessant fighting. After all, what's a day in the life of a war god without a touch of monotony? As he settles into his morning routine, you can almost hear him muttering about the lack of creativity and mortal conflicts. What does Ars eat for breakfast? You might wonder. Perhaps a hearty meal of roasted meats, because what's a god without a good source of protein? Or maybe something a bit more humble, like bread after all. Even gods can't start the day on an empty stomach. The smell of sizzling meat wafts through the air as he prepares for another round of conflict. But you can bet that he daydreams about something more exciting than just another battle. His mornings often consist of waiting for the armies to muster and strategizing with generals who are more concerned about their egos than tactics. Ars frequently finds himself in meetings that feel more like a council of clowns than a serious war strategy session. The gods might thrive on war, but they also engage in a lot of mundane discussions that could put anyone to sleep. As Ars surveys the battlefield, he can't help but notice the repetitive patterns of conflict. Skirmish after skirmish, it's the same old story: heroes rise, villains fall, and he's there, hovering in the background, waiting for the drama to unfold. How tedious. Historians still argue whether Ars's presence in these battles was a blessing or a curse for mortals, but deep down, he might just be thinking that a little less excitement wouldn't be so bad. He could use a change of pace, perhaps a day spent lounging on Olympus, sipping ambrosia and contemplating the art of war without actually participating in it. But alas, such aspirations are often dashed by the reality of his divine duties. Instead of enjoying a good book or a leisurely nap, Ars finds himself stuck in the throes of yet another battle, facing the same distractions that have plagued him since time immemorial. It's important to remember that Ars is not just a figure of brute strength. He is a complex character with desires beyond mere bloodshed. And while he may not have a typical office job, his life is filled with the drudgery of constant readiness, waiting for chaos to unfold. So, as we continue to explore the life of Ars, consider the mundane alongside the epic. Sometimes, even gods have boring days. As the sun rises higher in the sky, Ars finds himself entrenched in his morning routine, curious mix of divine rituals and, oddly enough, mundane tasks. You might picture a warrior god with an overflowing cup of coffee, but for Ars, the first order of business is to don his armor. You can almost hear the clank of steel as he pulls on each piece, adjusting them meticulously. There's something almost ritualistic about this process. Historians still argue whether the Greeks viewed Ars more as a fearsome deity or a necessary evil for surviving the realities of war, but his morning preparations tell a different story. As he laces up his boots, Ars can't help but reflect on the countless battles he's overseen, some thrilling, others a monotonous drag. You might think a god would have a magic spell to make getting dressed easier, but no, it appears that even deities face the universal struggle of trying to look good while preparing for chaos. And let's face it, the last thing anyone wants is to trip over their own armor mid-battle. So, he takes his time, ensuring everything is just right. After a lengthy session of armor adjustments, Ars heads to the dining hall of Olympus. One might expect a grand feast worthy of the gods, but breakfast is often a simple affair. He grabs a plate heaped with roasted meats, perfect fuel for a day of war, and a goblet of ambrosia. But rather than savoring the taste, he finds himself chewing mechanically, already mentally plotting his next move on the battlefield. Ars often rolls his eyes at the pleasantries exchanged among the other gods during breakfast. While Athena discusses strategy, and Zeus basks in the glory of his latest thunderstorm, Ars can only think about how many troops still need to be rallied for the day's skirmishes. The conversations around him are filled with grandiose tales of valor and glory, yet Ars can't shake the feeling that today might just be another snooze fest. As he listens to a debate about whether the latest conflict in the bees is worth their attention, he feels a twinge of boredom creeping in. It's the same old rhetoric, the same arguments about valor and cowardice, while he internally rolls his eyes, thinking, if only they knew what a boring day in the life of a god really looks like. You can imagine him thinking about how, if he could, he would just teleport straight to the battlefield instead of enduring this endless chatter. But then again, there's a part of him that relishes the anticipation. What if today's battle would be an epic saga worthy of the bards? What if he would play a pivotal role that would be sung about for generations? Yet, as he sits there with his breakfast plate, he can't help but notice that the excitement is often overshadowed by the mundane realities of war. Even the greatest legends are built on countless uneventful days. After breakfast, Ars checks in with his fellow gods. He exchanges half-hearted pleasantries with Hermes, who is already busy plotting mischief among the mortals. He shoots Ars a wink, suggesting they stir up some chaos. But Ars just shakes his head. Not today, Hermes. I'm in the mood for something less chaotic, if you can believe that. It's not that Ars has lost his edge, far from it, but even gods crave variety, and today he feels a longing for something different, perhaps a peaceful stroll instead of a clash of swords. Historians still argue over the true nature of Ares' character. Was he merely a destructive force, or did he represent the darker side of human nature? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in the balance, where even a god who embodies war has moments of introspection, even boredom. As he prepares for the day, Ars finds himself standing before a mirror, checking his reflection. He catches a glimpse of himself, a fierce warrior encased in glinting armor, yet he feels an unusual softness in his heart. What if, for once, he could step back from the battlefield and embrace a day of tranquility? Perhaps he'd take a long walk among humans, experiencing their lives without the spectre of conflict hanging over him. But alas, time waits for no god, and the call to arms is inevitable. With a resigned sigh, Ars finishes his preparations, mentally shifting gears from breakfast to battle mode. The day awaits with its predictable rhythms of war, filled with both the familiar and the tedious. As he steps out onto the battlefield, he can hear the distant shouts of warriors, the sounds of clanking metal, and the frenetic energy of chaos. Yet in the back of his mind, he holds a secret wish for a day that might just break the monotony of his eternal existence. And so, even in the life of a god, filled with epic narratives and grand conflicts, Ars is faced with the realization that sometimes the most boring days can lead to unexpected adventures, or at least some quiet moments amidst the chaos. As Ars steps onto the battlefield, the air crackles with an energy that could easily ignite a spark of excitement in even the most lethargic of gods. But as he surveys the chaotic scene unfolding before him, he can't help but feel a sense of ennui creeping in. Sure, there are warriors brandishing swords and shields, and the sounds of clashing metal resonate like an ancient symphony, but to Ars, it's just another day filled with the same predictable chaos. Historians still argue about whether Ars thrived in the heat of battle or merely tolerated it, and today he finds himself leaning toward the latter. What draws us to war, you might wonder? Is it the glory? The adrenaline? Or perhaps the sheer thrill of watching mortals engage in a dance of death? As he observes the combatants, he realizes that while the stakes are high and lives are on the line, much of it seems like a repetitive cycle played out time and time again. There's an almost tragic beauty in the way warriors from opposing sides clash, a relentless rhythm that, in its essence, feels monotonous to a god who has seen it unfold countless times. He watches as a young warrior, fresh-faced and eager, charges into the fray. His enthusiasm is palpable, but Ars knows too well the fate that often awaits such fervor. "You'll soon learn," he mutters under his breath. "That glory isn't all it's cracked up to be." This young man's idealism strikes a chord in Ars, reminding him of his own youthful days, when he relished the glory of battle without understanding its true costs. As the hours drag on, Ars finds himself meandering through the battlefield, almost like a bored spectator at a sporting event. He listens to the war cries and the clamour of swords while rolling his eyes at the sheer absurdity of it all. That one side believes they're fighting for justice, while the other claims their own version of righteousness, yet both sides are driven by a primal instinct for power and survival. It's a tragic comedy, really, and one that Ars has watched unfold for centuries. You see, while most gods thrive on the grandeur of conflict, Ars finds himself caught in an endless loop of repetition, much like a Netflix show that's just a little too long. Each battle, while unique in its details, adheres to the same script: bravado, betrayal, and bloodshed, all leading to the same dreary outcome. It's no wonder Ars occasionally fantasizes about a different kind of life, a life where instead of endless rounds of combat, he might indulge in something as simple as a board game with the other gods, perhaps a little friendly competition without the risk of death. But the god of war can't afford such distractions, can he? After all, his very essence is entwined with conflict and chaos. It's not only what defines him, it's what the mortals and fellow deities expect of him. So, he shakes off these thoughts and steels himself for another round of inspirational speeches to the troops. As he approaches a group of weary warriors, he puts on his best battle face, channeling the fierce energy that once inspired countless legends. Today, we fight for honor, he bellows, his voice booming over the din. Today, we prove our strength. The warriors cheer, their spirits lifted by his presence. And yet, he feels a twinge of guilt for pretending to be as enthusiastic as they are. He can see the glimmer of excitement in their eyes, a fire that he used to possess, but now flickers faintly in the shadow of his eternal duty. Historians still argue whether Ars' charm lies in his ferocity or the moments of vulnerability he occasionally reveals. Perhaps it's the juxtaposition of his nature that makes him so relatable. For every act of destruction, there's a whisper of longing for peace, a sentiment he can't afford to express openly. Instead, he channels that yearning into a fierce determination to ensure that the battles he engages in are not fought in vain. But as the afternoon wears on and the battles continue, Ars finds himself growing increasingly disenchanted. The clashes grow repetitive, a cacophony of sound that fades into a dull thrum. He watches as two armies, drawn together by fate and folly, engage in the same bloody dance as countless before them. The sense of déjà vu washes over him, and he wonders if there's ever a day when war can be anything other than tedious. He finds himself daydreaming about the unexpected joys of mortal life, laughter shared over a meal, the simple pleasure of watching the sunset, or even the mundane ritual of a village market. Wouldn't it be refreshing to trade the sword for a simple basket and join the townsfolk in their daily dealings? Perhaps he'd even find a few interesting stories to share with his fellow gods, stories that don't involve bloodshed or glory. As the sun begins to set, casting a golden hue over the battlefield, Ars stifles a yawn and shakes his head, trying to focus back on the task at hand. He knows he must remain vigilant. There are still battles to be fought, and glory to be won, at least in the eyes of mortals. Perhaps tomorrow will bring a different kind of excitement, or at the very least, a break from the monotony that threatens to engulf him. For now, Ars continues to weave through the chaos, a god tethered to the fate of mortals, watching the same stories unfold yet again. And in that moment, he realizes that even in the life of a war god, boredom can be just as significant a part of existence as the battles themselves. As the sun dips below the horizon, bathing the battlefield in hues of amber and crimson, Ars finds himself in a peculiar position. Surrounded by the fierce clamour of warriors, he feels a strange duality within him, an urge to fight mingled with a longing for companionship. You might not expect a god of war to be anything but a solitary figure, but Ars has his allies, even if their relationships are often fraught with tension and misunderstandings. In the realm of Olympus, Ars's companions are a motley crew, gods and demigods who either admire his prowess or fear his unpredictability. Among them, one of his closest allies is Hephaestus, the god of fire and forge. While Hephaestus thrives in his workshop, crafting weapons of unimaginable power, Ars finds himself in the field, wielding those very weapons. It's a partnership built on mutual respect, albeit with a dash of rivalry. As Ars thinks of Hephaestus, he can't help but chuckle at the irony. Here he is, the god of war, often bedecked in battle gear, while his friend spends his days hammering away in a furnace. Let's see who can make the most impressive weapon, Ars muses, recalling their playful contests. Yet, he knows that while Hephaestus' creations shine in the light of battle, it's Ars who must put them to use. Yet, even in this dynamic, there lies a vein of tension. As is often seen as the embodiment of destruction, while Hephaestus represents creation. It's a constant push and pull, a reminder that even gods can feel competitive about their roles. Then there's Athena, the goddess of wisdom, who often finds herself at odds with Ars. While Ars thrives on the chaos of war, Athena advocates for strategy and cleverness. Their rivalry is legendary, filled with tension and mutual disdain, though it's often tinged with an undercurrent of respect. Historians still argue whether their rivalry was a reflection of their personalities or a deeper commentary on the nature of war itself. Ars often teases Athena about her reluctance to engage in direct combat, while she chastises him for his reckless abandon. In many ways, their interactions reflect the broader battle between chaos and order. It's a dynamic that fascinates Ars. He admires her intellect, even if he'd never admit it openly. He thinks about how, perhaps, she might have a point when she suggests that strategy could save countless lives, but deep down, he knows that life, like war, is unpredictable. As he wanders the battlefield, Ars recalls a time when he and Athena were forced to work together. It was in the ancient city of Troy, where they found themselves caught in a labyrinth of alliances and betrayals. They clashed repeatedly, but when the stakes were raised, they recognized that their combined strengths could turn the tide of war. It was a thrilling experience, one where Ars felt alive and engaged not just as a warrior, but as a participant in a greater game of strategy. But those moments of camaraderie are fleeting, and Ars often feels like a pawn in a game played by the gods. While he relishes the thrill of battle, the weight of his relationships begins to settle on him. He finds himself silently wishing for a day where he could truly connect with his fellow deities without the spectre of war hanging over their heads. What would it be like to simply enjoy each other's company without all the expectations that come with their divine statuses? And then, there's the ever-energetic Hermes. The god of travelers and mischief is a constant source of amusement for Ars. You might picture Hermes zipping around on his winged sandals, delivering messages and stirring up trouble. Ars can't help but admire Hermes' ability to weave in and out of mortal affairs with such ease. Yet, their relationship is complicated. Hermes often tries to convince us to lighten up, to find joy in the chaos rather than just chaos itself. Why not play a trick on the mortals? Hermes had suggested with a cheeky grin once. Just for fun. Ars had scoffed at the idea, but deep down, he envied Hermes' ability to inject humor into life's serious moments. Perhaps, he mused, that's what he needs, a little levity amidst the endless grind of warfare. Yet, the momentary reprieve is often fleeting. Ars is tethered to his role as the god of war, and the responsibilities weigh heavily on him. Each day is a relentless cycle of skirmishes and strategy sessions, and as he reflects on the relationships he has with his fellow gods, he realizes they too carry their own burdens. As night falls and the remnants of battle scar the land, Ars finds himself standing alone, gazing at the stars. For a moment, the weight of expectations lifts, and he feels a fleeting sense of freedom. It's in these quiet moments that Ars contemplates the complexities of his existence. While he may be the god of war, there are depths to his character that remain unexplored, relationships that are waiting to be deepened. Perhaps one day, Ars will find a way to balance his dual identity as both a warrior and a companion, forging connections that transcend the battlefields. Until then, he remains a warrior at heart, caught in the cycle of conflict, longing for the camaraderie of his fellow deities amid the chaos of war. While the echoes of battle fade into the night, Ars finds himself reflecting on the nature of the conflicts he oversees. It's during these moments of contemplation that he realizes not all wars are created equal. Some are born from noble causes, while others are mere trivial disputes blown out of proportion. It's a sobering thought, especially for a god whose very essence is tied to the art of warfare. Yet, even a god of war needs to grapple with the less glamorous aspects of his responsibilities. Picture this, a battlefield bustling with soldiers, banners flying high, and the scent of sweat and iron heavy in the air. But beyond the clamour lies a reality that Ars must face the existence of what he calls boring battles. You might envision every encounter as a grand epic, but many are just mundane skirmishes, filled with tired warriors going through the motions. Historians still argue whether these filler fights were necessary or merely distractions from the more significant conflicts at hand. Ars recalls a recent skirmish he oversaw between two neighbouring cities, each claiming ownership of a small patch of land. What was once a vibrant field of flowers had become a battleground over pride and stubbornness. The warriors fought bravely, yet Ars couldn't shake the impression that they were merely playing out a scripted drama. For him, it felt akin to watching a rerun of a show he'd seen too many times before. The same battle cries, the same tactics, and the same worn-out endings. He chuckles to himself, thinking about how ridiculous it all was. If only they'd settled it over a game of dice instead, he muses. At least that would have been entertaining. But as the god of war, he knows he can't interfere too much. His presence is a reminder that conflict is a part of their lives, a necessary element of existence, even if it sometimes feels tiresome. As the hours drag on, Ars finds himself wandering through the battlefield, surveying the aftermath of the boring fight. He watches as soldiers tend to their wounds and share stories of bravery, albeit tales that feel recycled. One soldier, a grizzled veteran with a weathered face, recounts his heroic deed of the day. He bravely charged into battle, only to trip over a rock and land face first in the mud. The laughter that follows is infectious, and Oz can't help but chuckle along, realizing that even in the most mundane battles, there's a thread of humanity that connects these warriors. While some soldiers aspire to fame and glory, others fight simply to protect their homes or to earn their daily bread. Oz understands this duality. For every heroic tale, there are countless stories of pointless skirmishes-men fighting for land that barely matters, spurred on by pride rather than purpose. It's a reality he wrestles with, questioning the true motivations behind these endless conflicts. What is left to prove? Oz wonders, aloud, his voice echoing in the hushed night. Is it worth the bloodshed for a piece of land no one will remember in a decade? Perhaps these were the thoughts that weighed most heavily on him, the realization that for all his power, he could not change the essence of humanity's need for conflict. As he strolls through the remnants of the battlefield, Oz notices a group of soldiers huddled together, sharing a meal. They pass around pieces of bread and dried meat, laughing and jesting as they recall the more absurd moments of the fight. Remember when he fell into the mud? One of them cackles, pointing at his comrade, who feigns indignation. Oz watches from a distance, a smile creeping across his face. It's in these moments that he realizes the real heart of war, camaraderie that forms amidst the chaos, the bonds that develop even in the most boring of battles. You might think Oz thrives on the adrenaline of combat, but has come to appreciate these quieter moments as well. It's a reminder that while the battles may be repetitive, the human spirit has an incredible capacity for resilience and humor. He thinks about how these soldiers, despite their hardships, find joy in the most mundane circumstances. It's a lesson he carries with him, a revelation that perhaps not every fight needs to be marked by glory and valor. Sometimes, it's the shared laughter and the mundane experiences that define the essence of war. As night deepens, Oz reflects on the significance of these trivial skirmishes. They may lack the grandeur of legendary battles, but they serve a purpose nonetheless. Each fight, no matter how boring, contributes to the tapestry of human experience. Oz understands that he's not just a god of war, he's also a witness to the vast array of emotions that accompany conflict: the fear, the laughter, the resolution. For a moment, the weight of being the god of war feels lighter. Oz joins the soldiers around the fire, sharing in their meal and their stories. As they laugh and bond, he senses a flicker of hope. Perhaps the true essence of warfare lies not in the battles fought or the victories won, but in the connections forged and the resilience shown. And while the mundane may still overshadow the epic, it's these moments of shared humanity that remind us of the beauty that exists even in the most boring of days. As dawn breaks, casting a soft light over the remnants of the battlefield, Oz finds himself contemplating a rare notion, the idea of taking a day off. You might think that a god of war wouldn't even entertain such thoughts, but the monotony of endless battles has led him to ponder what a day without conflict could feel like. Imagine stepping away from the chaos, swapping the clang of swords for the gentle sound of waves lapping against a shore, or the rustle of leaves in a quiet forest. Historians still argue whether gods like us ever truly took breaks, but the thought alone fills him with a sense of longing. Thus, he watches the sun rise. He envisions a peaceful retreat away from the battlefield's a secluded spot where he can escape the weight of his responsibilities, if only for a moment. Perhaps he'd lounge on a beach, feeling the sun warm his skin as he immerses himself in a good book, or even better, a game of strategy with Athena. The idea of playing checkers with the goddess of wisdom sounds like a refreshing change from the constant demands of warfare. Still, the notion of a day off feels almost laughable. Oz knows that war is woven into the fabric of his being, and to step away would mean abandoning his followers. Soldiers rely on him for strength and inspiration, and he can't just vanish when the call to arms rings out. It's a conflict that gnaws at him as he yearns for the freedom to experience life beyond the battlefield. He recalls a time when he did attempt to take a break. It was a fleeting moment, just after a particularly brutal conflict in the mountains of Thrace. Ars had decided to visit a quiet village, hoping to blend in and enjoy the simplicity of mortal life. However, as he wandered through the streets, he inadvertently drew attention. The villagers were in awe, recognizing the god of war among them. They begged him to protect them, to rid them of their enemies, and just like that, his day of relaxation dissolved into a flurry of chaos. As Uz reminisces about that experience, he chuckles softly at the irony. So much for a quiet day, he mutters to himself. It's a familiar story. A god can never truly escape his nature, and he is always called back to the fray. Yet, even in the face of this relentless cycle, he can't help but dream. What if he could step into a mortal's shoes, even if just for one day? What would it be like to wake up without the weight of war pressing down on him? With these thoughts swirling in his mind, Ars turns back to the battlefield. He watches as soldiers begin their morning routines, sharpening weapons and preparing to face whatever chaos awaits them today. Each soldier goes through their motions, displaying a mix of determination and resignation, much like us himself. It's a reminder that even in the mundane, there is a sense of purpose, a connection to something greater than oneself. Ars smiles at a group of warriors sharing hearty laughter over their morning rations, and he feels a flicker of inspiration. Perhaps he can't take a day off entirely, but he can find moments of respite amid the chaos. Maybe he could organize a mock battle, a friendly competition where warriors can showcase their skills without the stakes of life and death. It's an idea that appeals to him, a chance to foster camaraderie while allowing everyone to blow off steam. As he shares the idea with the soldiers, their faces light up with enthusiasm. Ars feels invigorated by their excitement, realizing that creating opportunities for joy can be just as fulfilling as engaging in real conflict. Let's channel our energies into something that brings us together, he exclaims, his voice booming with newfound vigor. The soldiers cheer in agreement, and for a moment, Ars feels the weight of the world lift off his shoulders. The mock battle is set for the following day, and Ars takes on the role of referee, ensuring that it's all in good fun. He organizes the teams, crafts rules, and even designs a few amusing challenges to keep the atmosphere light-hearted. As he interacts with the soldiers, he finds himself laughing more than he has in ages. Watching them engage in playful rivalry reminds him of the joy that can be found even in the simplest moments. On the day of the mock battle, the atmosphere is electric. Warriors gather, eager to showcase their skills in a setting devoid of the usual risks. Ars stands at the center, a playful grin on his face as he prepares to kick off the festivities. This is not about glory, he announces, brandishing a wooden sword for emphasis, but about having fun. As this competition unfolds, Ars watches with delight as soldiers dodge and parry, laughter ringing through the air. They form alliances and share jokes, creating a sense of camaraderie that transcends the usual hierarchy of their roles. For Ars, it's a revelation, a reminder that life is not just about war but also about connection and joy. In the midst of the mock battle, Ars even finds himself joining in, wielding that wooden sword with surprising finesse. The soldiers cheer him on, and he lets out a hearty laugh as he finds himself engaging in the very chaos he usually orchestrates. For a moment, he feels free, a warrior not bound by the expectations of his title but simply a participant in a shared experience. As the sun sets on that joyful day, Ars feels a profound sense of satisfaction. While he may never fully escape his identity as the god of war, he learns that even in the midst of relentless conflict, moments of levity and connection can make the burdens lighter. Perhaps, he muses, it's not about taking a day off, but about infusing the essence of joy into the chaos of existence. With that thought, Ars realizes that maybe he doesn't have to abandon his divine responsibilities to find moments of peace. Instead, he can be the catalyst for joy in the lives of those around him, turning the mundane into something extraordinary, one laugh at a time. As the laughter of soldiers fades into the night, Ars reflects on his newfound understanding of what it means to balance the burdens of war with the joy of life. While he may never fully escape the call of battle, he realizes that there are facets of existence beyond the clash of swords that can bring him fulfillment. In a fleeting moment of introspection, he considers his hobbies and interests, aspects of his identity that often get overshadowed by the weight of his divine role. Believe it or not, Ars has interests that go far beyond the battlefield. He's fascinated by strategy, not just in war but in games, board games, card games, and even dice. There's something about the calculated movements, the anticipation of outcomes and the thrill of competition that captivates him. He recalls evenings spent watching mortals engage in games, their faces lit with joy as they strategize and outwit one another. Historians still debate whether strategy games were a direct reflection of the Greeks' views on warfare, but Oz sees the connection clearly. Life is a game and every move counts. With these thoughts in mind, Oz decides to indulge in a daydream about what it might be like to host a grand game night on Olympus. He imagines inviting gods and heroes alike, transforming the halls of the divine into a vibrant arena of friendly competition. Picture it, a long table laden with ambrosia and nectar, while gods and mortals gather round, engaged in spirited competitions of wit and skill. Wouldn't it be delightful to see Zeus trying desperately to strategize his way to victory instead of merely relying on his thunderbolts? But Oz knows that such an event might not go over well with every deity. He can almost hear Athena's disapproving voice reminding him, war is not to be taken lightly, Oz. Yet he can't shake the thrill of the idea. What if he could show Athena and the others that even in the realm of war, there's room for fun and camaraderie? Turning this daydream into a reality seems daunting, but Oz feels invigorated by the challenge. He begins to formulate a plan to pitch his game night idea to the other gods. As he paces through the halls of Olympus, he muses about how to approach each deity, tailoring his pitch to their unique personalities. He envisions presenting it as a way to foster unity among the gods, a chance to showcase their strengths in ways that don't revolve around warfare. When he finally gathers the courage to approach Zeus, the king of the gods, Oz steels himself with renewed confidence. Father, he begins, I have an idea that could breathe new life into our gatherings. He explains his concept of a game night, emphasizing the potential for laughter and connection, particularly in a time when tensions are often high. To his surprise, Zeus leans back in his throne, a glimmer of interest lighting up his eyes. Games, you say? It could be entertaining, he replies, stroking his beard thoughtfully. Oz can hardly believe his ears. Encouraged by this positive feedback, he quickly outlines ideas for various game strategy challenges, riddles, even competitions of strength that don't entail actual combat. Imagine Athena's shock when she loses a game of strategy to someone like Hermes. Oz chuckles, feeling more hopeful with each word. Zeus laughs heartily, and for a moment, Oz feels a sense of camaraderie with his father that has often eluded him. Very well, Oz. Let it be so, Zeus finally declares, but do be careful not to let it get out of hand. We don't need a divine brawl over a game of dice. With that, Oz feels a rush of excitement. He quickly sets about rallying the other gods, sharing his vision with the swift enthusiasm of a battlefield strategist. Athena, though skeptical, agrees to participate in a game of strategy, while Hermes wriggles with delight at the prospect of showcasing his cunning in a more playful context. Even the more reserved Hestia shows interest in a cooking competition, suggesting they incorporate culinary challenges into the mix. As the day of the game night approaches, Oz feels a sense of anticipation building. He ensures every detail is in place, from the table settings to the challenges and prizes for the winners. The atmosphere is charged with a mixture of excitement and tension. After all, this is a gathering of gods, and egos can run high. The night finally arrives, and Oz stands at the entrance of the grand hall, ready to greet his guests. As each deity enters, they are met with the delightful sight of a beautifully decorated space, filled with laughter and the aroma of ambrosia. You can practically feel the energy buzzing in the air, a stark contrast to the usual solemnity of their gatherings. As the games commence, Oz watches in awe as gods and goddesses engage in friendly rivalry, showcasing their skills in a way that feels refreshing and liberating. Zeus tries his hand at a strategy board game, and Oz can't help but stifle a laugh as the king of the gods struggles to keep up with Athena's sharp wit. Meanwhile, Hermes zips around, gathering intel and sharing humorous jests, ensuring the spirit of playfulness permeates the evening. Oz feels a warmth in his heart as he observes the camaraderie manifesting among the deities. Perhaps the true power of a god lies not solely in their ability to wage war, but in their capacity to foster joy and unity. Historians will likely write about Eris game night and how it transformed the dynamics among the gods, turning tense rivalries into moments of laughter and connection. As the night wears on, Oz catches a glimpse of what it means to embrace both his nature as a god of war and his longing for connection. In this space filled with laughter and friendly competition, he realizes that even in the midst of conflict, there's room to forge bonds that transcend the battlefield. As the festivities come to a close, Oz finds himself surrounded by fellow gods who have momentarily shed their roles as warriors to embrace the joy of the game. It's a moment he wishes could last forever, one where the chaos of conflict feels distant, and the bonds of camaraderie feel stronger than ever. And as the stars twinkle above Olympus, Ars understands that while he may forever be the god of war, he can also be the god of joy and embodiment of both chaos and connection, forging a path that encompasses the complexities of existence. With the laughter of gods still echoing in his ears, Ars reflects on the success of the game night. The lively atmosphere has woven a new thread into the fabric of their divine relationships, one that transcends the usual boundaries of warfare and rivalry. As the sun rises the next morning, bathing Olympus in golden light, Ars feels a renewed sense of purpose coursing through him. Perhaps the bonds formed during that night can yield a new understanding of what it means to be a god of war, a realization that there is strength in joy and camaraderie as well as in conflict. Yet, as invigorating as the game night was, Ars can't shake the nagging feeling that the relief is temporary. The nature of war waits in the shadows, ever present and relentless. Historically, the gods have often engaged in fierce conflicts, and while mortals may find solace in the stories of heroism, Ars knows the reality is often much less glamorous. He begins to ponder whether it's possible to bring this spirit of unity into the battlefield, merging the joy of companionship with the necessity of war. One afternoon, he finds himself strolling along the tranquil banks of a river, lost in thought. The water glimmers under the sunlight, and he watches as fish dart about, seemingly carefree in their world. Ars ponders the paradox of his existence as the god of war, constantly weighed down by the burden of conflict, yet yearning for connections that remind him of the beauty of life. He considers the possibility of creating a new approach to warfare, one that emphasizes collaboration instead of chaos, strategy over bloodshed, and perhaps most importantly, the recognition of shared humanity among opponents. He imagines a scenario where opposing armies could meet not as enemies but as equals, to discuss terms of resolution over a game or a meal. It's an audacious thought, even for a god, yet Ars feels a flicker of excitement at the prospect. Could it be that by fostering connections, he might change the way wars are fought? What if, instead of glorifying the carnage of battle, he could advocate for understanding and negotiation? With these ideas swirling in his mind, Ars decides to convene a meeting with his fellow gods to discuss this radical new strategy. He gathers Athena, Hermes, and even Hephaestus, hoping to harness their diverse perspectives. As they settle into a meeting hall on Olympus, Ars feels a mix of anticipation and anxiety. He knows he's proposing something unconventional, but he believes that if anyone can understand the potential of this idea, it's them. "Thank you for coming," Ars begins, his voice steady yet laced with eagerness. "I want to discuss an approach to warfare that incorporates the lessons we learned from our game night." He pauses, gauging their reactions before continuing. "What if we could create opportunities for negotiation instead of conflict? What if we could turn adversaries into allies, if only for a moment?" Athena raises an eyebrow, intrigued yet skeptical. "You want to hold a council instead of a battle? A bold notion, Ars, but do you really think that's feasible? Mortals are driven by passion and pride. They rarely see eye to eye without conflict." "Exactly," Ars replies, feeling more confident. "But wouldn't it be worth a try? We've seen how a simple game can foster camaraderie among us. If we could create environments where opposing sides come together, perhaps over a meal or a friendly competition might encourage understanding." Hermes, ever the trickster, leans forward with a mischievous grin. "Count me in. I can think of a few games that might lighten the mood. We could even prank the opposing armies a bit. Nothing like a good-natured jest to break the ice." Hephaestus, usually reserved in discussions, contemplates the idea. It has merit. Perhaps if warriors could see their opponents as fellow beings rather than enemies, they might think twice before fighting. "But how do you propose we implement this?" Ars feels a surge of excitement at their engagement, fueled by the collective creativity in the room. "We could establish a day of elaboration, a time when opposing forces are invited to put aside their weapons and engage in challenges that promote understanding. Compete in games, share stories, and find common ground. It could change the very essence of conflict." Athena considers this, her brow furrowed in thought. "It's unconventional, to say the least, but there's potential. If we approach it right, we could shift perceptions. The question is, do we convince the mortals to participate?" Ars grins, imagining the possibilities. "We could lead by example. If we as gods champion this idea, the mortals may follow suit. We can create a sacred space for these gatherings, ensuring that both sides feel honored and respected." The discussions continue, the atmosphere charged with excitement and possibility. Ars feels invigorated by the prospect of employing this new approach to warfare, one that could redefine his role as the god of war. As the meeting concludes, he feels a renewed sense of purpose, a mission, that goes beyond the battlefield and into the hearts and minds of both gods and mortals. In the days that follow, Ars sets out to implement this vision. He gathers resources, reaching out to various factions to share his ideas. He emphasizes the importance of peace, camaraderie, and understanding, and to his surprise, many factions express interest. They, too, recognize the toll that constant conflict takes on their lives. As the first day of collaboration approaches, Ars prepares himself for the challenge ahead. He knows that there will be skepticism and doubt, but he firmly believes in the potential for change. He imagines the laughter, the friendly competitions, and the stories that will emerge, and he can hardly contain his excitement. On the day itself, Ars stands at the center of a large gathering in open field surrounded by banners from both factions. The air is filled with a mixture of tension and anticipation as warriors from both sides arrive, eyeing each other warily. Ars takes a deep breath, stepping forward to address the crowd. Today, we step away from the conflict that has divided us. He begins, his voice steady but passionate. Let us embrace the spirit of camaraderie and understanding. We are not just warriors, we are human beings. And today, we will discover the strength that lies not only in our blades but in our connections. As he speaks, Ars can see the flickers of curiosity among the gathered warriors. The tension begins to ebb as they listen, and he feels a surge of hope. Perhaps this is the beginning of something transformative. Perhaps, even for a god of war, a different path can be forged on that celebrates the beauty of life in all its complexity. And as the games begin, laughter fills the air, mingling with the sounds of friendly competition. Ars stands back, a smile spreading across his face. In this moment, he feels the weight of his identity shift. He is a god of war, yes, but today, he is also a god of connection, of joy, and of understanding. As the sun sets on this historic day, Ars feels a flicker of optimism igniting within him. He knows that the journey ahead will be fraught with challenges, but he also understands that if a god of war can embrace the spirit of unity, then perhaps humanity can too. As the day of collaboration unfolds, Ars stands on the sidelines, watching a remarkable transformation take place before his very eyes. The atmosphere, once thick with tension and rivalry, has now morphed into a vibrant tapestry of laughter, camaraderie, and friendly competition. Warriors from opposing factions engage in games and challenges, their earlier animosities evaporating like mist in the morning sun. Ars feels a sense of pride swelling within him, mingling with the adrenaline of witnessing a new era of interaction. Yet even as he revels in the moment, he is acutely aware of the fragile nature of peace. Just as the thrill of camaraderie fills the air, he knows that conflict can erupt at any moment. Historians still debate whether moments of unity are fleeting or whether they can lay the groundwork for lasting peace, but Ars hopes to prove the latter true today. In one corner of the field, a group of warriors engages in a spirited contest of strength, showcasing their prowess in a series of challenges. Ars watches as two men, a burly fighter from one faction and a little warrior from another, face off in a playful tug-of-war. The crowd roars with encouragement, laughter echoing through the air as they battle for victory. To Ars' delight, their competition is marked not by hostility, but by shouts of encouragement and playful banter. He can see the walls that once divided them crumbling, replaced by the shared joy of the contest. Nearby, another group gathers around a storytelling circle, where warriors recount tales of past glories and misadventures. As they share their stories, Ars observes how the warriors find common ground in their experiences. They laugh at shared hardships and celebrate each other's victories, realizing that beneath the armor of their identities lie the same hopes and fears. Even the more reserved warriors, who might have kept their emotions hidden behind stoic facades, begin to let their guards down. Ars notices one soldier from his faction, who had always been serious and withdrawn, sharing a humorous story about the time he accidentally set his own tent on fire while trying to impress a potential partner. The laughter that ensues breaks through the remaining barriers, sending ripples of connection through the crowd. As Ars moves through the gathering, he engages with the participants, exchanging words of encouragement and excitement. "Look at how far we've come," he exclaims to a group of fighters who were initially skeptical about the day's events. "You're forging bonds that can last beyond today." This is just the beginning. Gradually, Ars begins to notice something he hadn't anticipated. Warriors from opposing factions start to form friendships. They share food, swap stories, and even participate in joint challenges, showcasing their skills side by side. He can see the beginnings of alliances taking shape, born not from the necessity of survival, but from a genuine desire for connection. However, as the sun begins to set on this historic day, Ars feels a twinge of apprehension. The thrill of unity is exhilarating, but he knows that old habits die hard. Mercurial tempers and long-standing grievances can resurface at any moment, and the very peace they've forged could easily shatter if they're not careful. In a moment of inspiration, Ars gathers the warriors around him once more. "Today, we have taken a monumental step towards understanding one another," he declares, his voice resonating with authority and hope. "But remember, this bond requires nurturing. As we leave this place, let us carry forth the spirit of collaboration and remember that we are stronger together than we are apart." The crowd erupts in cheers, their enthusiasm palpable. Yet, Ars knows that the true test lies ahead. Will they remember this day when they return to their lives, or will they fall back into the same patterns of conflict that have plagued them for generations? As the sun dips below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the battlefield, Ars reflects on the delicate balance of his existence. He is a god of war, yes, but he is also a catalyst for connection. In embracing this duality, he hopes to steer not only his own destiny but also the fate of those who look to him for guidance. The following days are filled with challenges. Ars dedicates himself to sustaining the momentum created during the day of collaboration. He reaches out to influential leaders from both factions, urging them to maintain the newfound relationships and encouraging joint training sessions where soldiers can learn from each other rather than against each other. He also introduces the concept of peace. Councils formal gatherings where warriors can engage in discussions about grievances, both serious and trivial, in a controlled environment. These councils serve as forums for dialogue, where opposing sides can express their concerns while also seeking resolutions. The more Ars integrates these ideas into the lives of the warriors, the more he begins to see a shift in their attitudes. However, Ars is a god steeped in the realities of warfare, and he knows that not all will embrace this new philosophy. There will always be those who thrive on chaos, those who crave the thrill of battle above all else. He finds himself reflecting on the complexities of human nature and the paradoxes of existence. One evening, as he gazes at the stars from Olympus, Ars is struck by a moment of clarity. He understands that this journey is not just about changing the way wars are fought, it's about fostering a deeper understanding of what it means to be human, flawed, passionate, and capable of both great violence and profound compassion. As he continues to guide mortals toward a new path, Ars resolves to be patient. Change takes time, especially when it involves the hearts and minds of warriors. He recalls the laughter shared during the day of collaboration and knows that those moments are seeds planted in fertile ground. If nurtured, they will grow into something beautiful, a legacy that extends beyond the battlefield. With renewed determination, Ars sets forth to embrace his dual identity as both a god of war and a harbinger of peace. It's a path fraught with challenges, but one that he believes is worth walking. As he prepares for the days ahead, he feels a sense of hope swell within him, hope for a future where warriors can engage in the dance of conflict without losing sight of their shared humanity. As the weeks pass, Ars finds himself deeply immersed in his mission to foster understanding among the factions. The initial enthusiasm from the day of collaboration begins to simmer down, but the seeds of connection he planted continue to grow. He witnesses soldiers from opposing sides engaging in joint training exercises, exchanging techniques and strategies. The atmosphere that once brimmed with animosity is gradually transforming into one of mutual respect. The peace councils become a staple of community life, drawing warriors together in a spirit of dialogue. They share grievances, resolve misunderstandings, and even draft agreements on how to settle future disputes, without resorting to arms. Ars sits in on these discussions when he can, offering guidance and encouragement. He marvels at how words can wield just as much power as swords when used to build bridges instead of walls. Yet, amidst this budding optimism, Ars faces challenges that test his resolve. Not everyone is receptive to the notion of collaboration or peace. Some factions remain stubbornly entrenched in their beliefs, clinging to old grudges that seem insurmountable. There are whispers of discontent among certain leaders who see this new approach as a threat to their authority. They thrive on the chaos of war and are unwilling to relinquish the power that comes from conflict. One afternoon, Ars receives a visit from a particularly obstinate general named Ferocious, known for his fervent devotion to warfare. Ferocious enters the grand hall of Olympus, his expression a mixture of disdain and disbelief. "You think that we can resolve our differences through games and idle chatter?" he scoffs, crossing his arms defiantly. "War is in our blood. It's how we earn our honor." Ars meets Thrasos glare with calm determination. And what honor is there in senseless bloodshed? We've fought for generations, and where has that gotten us? Broken families, desolation, and endless cycles of vengeance. It's time we seek a different path. Thrasos scoffs, dismissing the notion. You're a fool if you believe this will work. The strong survive, and the weak fall. That's the way of this world. A surge of frustration wells within Ars, but he fights to keep his composure. What if I told you that true strength lies not in the ability to conquer, but in the courage to unite? What if you could be a part of something greater, something that will ensure peace for generations to come? The general's expression softens slightly, but his skepticism remains. You are naive, Ars. The world does not work as you wish it to. The moment you show weakness is the moment you invite disaster. As Thrasos storms out of the hall, Ars feels a pang of doubt. He understands that changing deeply embedded beliefs is no easy task, and the resistance he faces is formidable. Nevertheless, he refuses to succumb to despair. He knows that progress is often met with skepticism and that every step toward understanding is worthwhile, even when faced with opposition. To combat the lingering doubts in his mind, Ars decides to organize another event, a second day of collaboration. This time, he aims to include influential leaders like Thrasos, hoping that their participation will demonstrate the power of unity. He envisions a grand celebration filled with games, entertainment, and opportunities for dialogue, hoping to attract even the most reluctant parties. As he finalizes the plans, Ars reaches out to various factions, inviting them to partake in this gathering. He emphasizes the importance of having all voices heard, especially those of leaders like Thrasos. Initially, there is pushback. Some are hesitant to participate, still clinging to their notions of conflict as a means of resolving disputes. But Ars persists, invoking the memories of laughter and shared humanity from the previous event. Finally, as the day of the second gathering approaches, there's a buzz of excitement in the air. Warriors from different factions begin arriving, their expressions a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Ars stands at the entrance, welcoming each person with a smile, determined to create an atmosphere of openness and camaraderie. As the festivities commence, Ars watches as warriors engage in friendly competitions, archery contests, wrestling matches, and games of strategy. Laughter fills the air, and he feels a sense of warmth watching old rivals compete side by side, all in the spirit of fun. However, as the sun sets and the festivities reach their peak, Ars feels a knot tightening in his stomach. Thrasos has yet to arrive, and he can't help but feel anxious about the response from other leaders. Would they take this opportunity to unite, or would the spectre of conflict overshadow the day? Just when he thinks the evening will conclude without Thrasos' participation, the general finally enters, flanked by a few of his most trusted soldiers. Ares' heart races as he approaches, hoping to engage him in meaningful dialogue rather than conflict. Glad you could join us, Thrasos. Ars greets him, masking his apprehension with a confident smile. We're just about to begin an open discussion about what we've experienced today. Thrasos crosses his arms, his expression skeptical. I suppose I'm curious to see how your little games have altered the course of our fates, he replies, his tone laced with sarcasm. Ars remains undeterred. What if we start by sharing our thoughts on the day? Let's hear from one another what worked, what didn't, and how we can take this energy back to our people. As Ars facilitates the discussion, he notices the tension slowly easing among the warriors. Thrasos speaks up, sharing his thoughts on the importance of strength and honor, but he also acknowledges moments of connection he's witnessed today. Ars encourages the others to share their experiences as well, and gradually, the dialogue shifts toward a more constructive tone. As the night wears on, Ars feels a shift in the atmosphere. The warriors begin to find commonalities, shared experiences that transcend their differences. Laughter breaks out as someone shares a humorous story about a mishap during the games, and even Thrasos cracks a smile, albeit begrudgingly. In that moment, Ars grasps the significance of this gathering. It's a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. The walls that once separated these warriors begin to crumble, and Ars senses the potential for genuine understanding. As the evening draws to a close, Ars stands before the assembled crowd, filled with hope. Today, he declares, we took another step toward a future that doesn't have to be defined by conflict. Let this gathering be a reminder that we are stronger together, that we can forge bonds even in the most unlikely circumstances. The warriors cheer, and even Thrasos offers a reluctant nod of approval. Ars feels a rush of exhilaration wash over him. While there is still much work to be done, he knows that each gathering is a piece of the puzzle. a step toward a legacy that transforms the very essence of war. As the stars twinkle above Olympus, Ars considers this path ahead. Change may come slowly, and resistance may linger, but he is determined to continue this journey. He sees his role as not only a god of war, but as a guardian of connection and understanding, a force that can bridge the divide, one conversation at a time. With the success of the second day of collaboration still fresh in his mind, Ars feels a renewed sense of vigor and determination. The laughter that echoed throughout Olympus has become a potent catalyst for change, and he is more determined than ever to solidify the bonds formed during the gatherings. He knows that while the path to lasting peace is fraught with challenges, each step taken together is a step worth pursuing. In the weeks that follow, Ars continues to cultivate these connections, encouraging ongoing dialogue among the different factions. The peace councils grow in popularity, drawing in participants who once shunned the idea of cooperation. Many warriors come to appreciate the value of discussing their grievances rather than allowing them to fester into conflict. With every meeting, Ars sees the barriers that divided them beginning to dissolve, replaced by the understanding that they are all equally burdened by the weight of war. However, not all warriors are as receptive to this new approach. Among them is a faction led by the fierce and impassioned general, Callista, who remains staunchly committed to the traditional ways of warfare. Ars recognizes that her presence could be a double-edged sword. On one hand, her influence could bring more warriors to the table, but on the other, her relentless passion for combat could ignite old rivalries. One day, as Ars prepares for another peace council, he learns that Callista has summoned a gathering of her own to rally her troops. She intends to challenge the newfound spirit of collaboration, asserting that the only way to ensure honor is through strength and battle. The fervor for warfare resonates with many, and Ars can't ignore the potential for discord that looms. Determined to address this challenge head-on, Ars invites Callista to the next council, hoping to engage her in a dialogue about the benefits of collaboration. "Your voice deserves to be heard, Callista," he tells her when they meet. "I believe that we can honor our traditions while also embracing new approaches. Will you join us?" Callista regards him with skepticism, her fierce eyes narrowing. "You think he'll sit idly by while you preach about cooperation? The warriors need to be reminded of their strength, not coddled with idle talks of friendship." Ars takes a steadying breath. "Strength is not merely about wielding weapons, Callista. True strength lies in the ability to adapt, to grow, and to unite. The world is changing, and if we cling too tightly to the past, we risk losing everything." With a skeptical huff, Callista finally agrees to attend the council, though she makes it clear that she will not be swayed so easily. Ars feels a mix of relief and apprehension. While her presence might lend credibility to the event, he knows that the challenge she poses will test the resolve of all involved. When the day of the council arrives, Ars prepares himself for an intense debate. The gathering feels charged with energy, a palpable mix of excitement and anxiety as warriors from various factions take their seats. Ars stands at the head of the assembly, addressing the crowd with a blend of passion and authority. "Today, we gather not only to share our experiences, but to confront the realities we face together," he begins. "We have seen the power of unity, but we must also acknowledge those who still feel the call of battle." He gestures toward Callista, inviting her to speak. "Thank you, Ars," Callista responds, her tone sharp yet measured. "While I appreciate the efforts made towards collaboration, I urge you all to remember that there are those who would exploit our weaknesses. War is not something we can simply wish away with games and laughter. It's a part of our legacy. It's in our blood." The crowd murmurs in response, some nodding in agreement, while others appear uneasy. Ars understands the complexities of her arguments, but also recognizes the fear that fuels them. He steps forward, hoping to bridge the divide. "And yet, we can redefine what it means to be strong. We can combine our legacies of bravery with new ways of understanding. Together, we can make war less about senseless conflict and more about honoring our shared humanity." The debate continues, with voices rising and falling like the tide. Some warriors passionately advocate for the old ways, insisting that honor can only be earned through battle. Others counter that true valor is found in the courage to seek resolution and avoid needless bloodshed. Ars feels the tension building as the discussion intensifies. He knows that Callista's presence has ignited a fire that could either lead to a breakthrough or plunge them back into chaos. Sensing the rising emotions, he decides to channel the energy into a challenge that could serve as both a test of strength and a demonstration of unity. "Let's settle this once and for all," Ars proposes, his voice booming with authority. "I challenge you all to a contest. Warriors from each faction will compete together, paired with allies they wouldn't normally choose. Let's see if we can change the narrative of combat into one of collaboration, where strength and honor are earned side by side. The crowd erupts in excitement, the idea of a contest resonating with many. They crave the thrill of competition, yet Uz hopes to use this opportunity to foster understanding among adversaries. As the warriors discuss the details, Uz senses a shift. Perhaps this contest can serve as a turning point, a chance for warriors to see past their differences and recognize the strength in unity. In the following days, Uz works tirelessly to prepare for the contest. He develops a series of challenges that test not only physical prowess but also teamwork, strategy and communication. Warriors from opposing factions will be forced to rely on each other, fostering bonds that could reshape their perspectives. As the day of the contest finally arrives, the atmosphere is electric. Warriors gather in a grand arena, banners waving in the wind, their faces alight with anticipation. Uz stands at the center, surveying the crowd and feeling a sense of pride swell within him. He knows that this is a crucial momentum that could either reinforce the old ways of conflict or pave the way for a new era of collaboration. "Welcome, warriors," Az calls out, his voice resonating across the arena. "Today we come together not as rivals but as comrades in a journey toward understanding. Let us prove that our strength lies not just in our swords but in our willingness to embrace one another." As the contests begin, Az watches with keen interest. Warriors from rival factions face off in teams, pushing each other to their limits while simultaneously learning from one another. They grapple, race, and strategize, each challenge revealing new strengths and forging unexpected friendships. Az feels a surge of excitement as he witnesses warriors who once saw each other as enemies, now laughing and supporting one another. He sees Callista, initially skeptical, engaged in friendly competition with a warrior from another faction, their laughter ringing out as they navigate the challenges together. As the contests unfold, Az realizes that he is witnessing something extraordinary. The spirit of camaraderie is palpable, and the divisions that once seemed insurmountable are dissolving into shared experiences. In that moment, Az feels a sense of hope that perhaps they are on the cusp of crafting a legacy that honors both the past and the future. The final challenge looms, a test of strategy that requires teamwork and quick thinking. Az watches as the teams strategize, drawing from each other's strengths to devise a plan. The energy in the arena is electric, and he can feel the weight of history hanging in the air. As the challenge unfolds, Ares' heart races with anticipation. He knows that the outcome of this contest could redefine the nature of war, showing that collaboration can wield just as much power as conflict. And as the final whistle blows, marking the end of the contest, Az feels a swell of triumph. The warriors cheer, celebrating not just their victories, but the bonds they've forged along the way. In that moment, Az understands that he has taken a significant step toward reshaping the narrative of warfare. As laughter and cheers fill the arena, he envisions a future where warriors can lay down their swords and embrace the strength found in unity. With the contest behind him, Az feels a renewed sense of purpose. He knows the work is far from over, and that resistance may still linger. But now, he carries with him the hope that through collaboration, understanding, and shared experiences, the world of warfare can evolve into something transformative. As the stars twinkle above the arena that night, Az reflects on the journey ahead. He is the god of war, yes, but he is also the god of connection, a force that can nurture understanding amidst the chaos of conflict. With that knowledge, he is ready to continue his mission, forging new paths that honor both strength and compassion. As the dust settles from the contests, Az feels a sense of accomplishment wash over him. The laughter of warriors still rings in his ears, and he can't help but smile as he watches groups from rival factions mingling together, sharing stories and forging connections that had once seemed impossible. The contest may have been just a one-day event, but Az knows that the impact could resonate far beyond the arena. In the days that follow, however, Az faces the reality of sustaining this momentum. While the contest was a success, the true challenge lies in ensuring that the spirit of collaboration endures. He understands that genuine change requires effort and commitment from both sides, and he is determined to keep the dialogue open. Az decides to organize a series of follow-up gatherings, casual meetups where warriors can come together to share meals, discuss their experiences, and continue building the connections they have forged. He envisions these gatherings as celebrations of collaboration, not just to discuss grievances but to also share victories and laughter. As he begins to implement these plans, he is met with a mixture of enthusiasm and skepticism. Some warriors embrace the idea wholeheartedly, excited to continue the newfound friendships, while others, still loyal to the old ways of war, view Eris' efforts as a distraction from their responsibilities. Among the skeptics is a faction leader named Demetrius, a seasoned warrior known for his no-nonsense approach to conflict. During one of the follow-up meetings, he openly questions Eris' vision. What good are these gatherings if they distract us from preparing for the inevitable battles? Peace is fleeting, and we must always be ready. Ars meets Demetrius' gaze, recognizing the truth in his words. Preparation is vital, but so is understanding. When we invest in relationships, we fortify our defenses in ways that swords and shields cannot. A united front is far stronger than a divided one. Demetrius isn't easily swayed, but Ars sees a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. What do you propose? Then, Demetrius challenges, crossing his arms defiantly. How do you expect us to defend our honor while sipping ambrosia and engaging in idle chatter? Honor is not solely defined by combat, Ars replies, his voice steady. True honor lies in the bonds we create and the courage we show to embrace change. By fostering trust and collaboration, we can redefine what it means to be strong. The discussion intensifies, with both sides presenting valid points, but Ars remains resolute in his belief that the path to lasting peace is worth pursuing. He engages with warriors who share Demetrius' skepticism, patiently addressing their concerns while emphasizing the potential for growth and understanding. As the follow-up gatherings unfold, Ars notices a shift in the dynamics. Slowly but surely, some warriors begin to see the value in fostering connections, realizing that shared experiences can lead to deeper respect. During one gathering, a warrior from Demetrius' faction engages in a deep discussion with a soldier from Callista's group, discovering that they share similar fears about the future and dreams of glory. These moments of connection excite Ars, and he feels a surge of hope. The barriers that had once divided them are beginning to crumble, even if the process is gradual. The gatherings continue to foster an atmosphere of camaraderie, with warriors sharing not just their victories, but also their vulnerabilities. One evening, as Ars sits around a fire with a group of soldiers, he encourages them to share their personal stories, what drives them to fight, what they fear, and what they hope to achieve. The stories that emerge are poignant and heartfelt, revealing the complexities of their lives beyond the battlefield. A soldier named Lysander speaks up, his voice trembling as he recounts the loss of his brother in a previous conflict. I fought not just for honor, but to protect those I love. I've seen the pain that war brings, and it haunts me every day. The group falls silent, the gravity of his words resonating with everyone present. Another warrior, a woman named Ilara, shares her own story of loss and resilience. I've watched my village burn because of feuds that have lasted for generations. I want to fight for a future where my children can grow up without fear. That's why I'm here. As stories unfold, Ars watches their expressions shift from hardened resolve to vulnerability. He understands that these moments are pivotal not only for the warriors, but also for himself. It's a reminder that he is not just a god of war, but also a witness to the human experience, carrying the weight of their stories with him. In the days that follow, Ars becomes more intentional about incorporating these personal narratives into the peace councils. He invites warriors to share their experiences openly, fostering an atmosphere where vulnerability is seen as a strength rather than a liability. The discussions evolve into profound conversations about honor, responsibility, and the weight of their decisions. However, Ars remains aware that not all factions are as receptive to this new approach. Callista, while initially intrigued by the gatherings, begins to voice her doubts. I fear we are losing our edge, she argues during one meeting. We must not forget that there are threats lurking beyond our borders. We cannot afford to grow complacent. Callista, I understand your concerns, Ars replies, maintaining his composure. But we are not growing complacent, we are strengthening our resolve. Unity makes us more formidable than division ever could. The debates continue and Ars feels the weight of responsibility growing heavier. He understands that while he is fighting for the future, there are dangers in the present that cannot be ignored. The warrior's fears are valid, but he hopes to show them that their strength can be derived not only from weapons, but also from the bonds they create. As tensions rise, Ars decides to organize a larger gathering, a summit that would bring together leaders from various factions, including those who remain skeptical of his approach. He knows that this summit will be a crucial turning point, a chance to solidify the progress they've made while addressing the uncertainties that linger. He reaches out to influential leaders, inviting them to participate in discussions about shared goals and how to navigate the challenges ahead. Ars envisions a summit where warriors can engage in meaningful dialogue and strategize together, reinforcing the notion that their strength lies in unity. As the day of the summit approaches, Ars feels a mix of excitement and apprehension. The stakes are higher than ever, and he understands that he must address the skepticism head-on. He prepares himself to face the challenges that await, knowing that the future of their collaboration hangs in the balance. On the day of the summit, warriors gather in a grand hall adorned with symbols of peace and unity. Ars stands at the front, feeling the weight of their expectations as he surveys the diverse assembly. He knows that this moment is about more than just words. It's about forging a path toward a future that honors both strength and understanding. As he begins to speak, Ars feels a surge of determination. Today, we come together not merely as warriors, but as allies in a shared journey. Our differences can be our greatest strength if we choose to embrace them. Together, we can navigate the challenges that lie ahead, ensuring that we do not repeat the mistakes of the past. As the discussions unfold, Ars encourages an open exchange of ideas, allowing each leader to voice their concerns and aspirations. The atmosphere is charged with energy as warriors engage in fervent dialogue, each side advocating for their perspective while also listening to others. Throughout the day, Ars witnesses the power of collaboration in action. As leaders discuss strategies for future conflicts, they begin to consider the potential for joint efforts not just on the battlefield but in their communities as well. Ideas for collaborative training sessions emerge, along with plans to establish joint patrols in vulnerable areas. As the summit progresses, Ars feels the camaraderie growing. The once divided factions begin to see each other, not as adversaries, but as partners in a shared mission. A palpable sense of hope fills the hall, and Ars realizes that they are on the cusp of something transformative. Yet, he knows that true change takes time, and there will be obstacles ahead. As the day draws to a close, Ars addresses the assembly once more, his voice resonating with passion. Let today mark the beginning of our commitment to one another. We may not always agree, but we must strive to understand. Together we can create a future where honor is defined by our capacity for compassion and collaboration, not just conflict. The gathering concludes with a resounding cheer, a collective affirmation of their commitment to this new path. As warriors embrace one another, Ars watches the walls that once separated them crumble, replaced by a spirit of unity that has the potential to reshape their world. As the sun sets on this historic day, Ars feels a surge of hope and determination. He understands that the journey is far from over, and there will be challenges ahead. But with every step they take together, he knows they are forging a legacy that honors both their strength and their shared humanity. With newfound resolve, Ars embraces his role as a guardian of connection, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. He is not just a god of war, he is a catalyst for change, one who believes that even in a world defined by conflict, the spirit of collaboration can flourish and transform the very essence of existence. In the aftermath of the summit, Ars feels an invigorating energy enveloping Olympus and the surrounding regions. The agreements reached and the connections forged during that gathering breathe new life into the war-worn land. There is an undeniable sense of hope among the warriors as they embrace this new chapter, committed to cultivating understanding alongside their battle-hardened skills. With the momentum building, Ars sets out to ensure that the principles of collaboration take root in the everyday lives of the warriors. He begins by organizing a series of community projects where factions can work together on shared goals, building wells, repairing roads, and even cultivating fields. He hopes that through these endeavors, warriors will come to see each other as allies, rather than adversaries. The first project is a grand effort to restore a village that had been ravaged by conflict. Ars assembles volunteers from various factions, knowing that this will be an opportunity to demonstrate the tangible benefits of cooperation. As they gather in the village square, Ars feels a sense of pride as he watches warriors from different backgrounds, donning their armor alongside one another, ready to roll up their sleeves for a common purpose. Today, we rebuild not just the physical structures of this village, but the very foundations of our relationships, Ars announces, his voice resonating with determination. Let's show everyone that we can work together for something greater than ourselves. As the day unfolds, Ars dives into the work alongside the warriors, helping to clear debris and gather supplies. The camaraderie grows as they share stories and laughter while they labor. Some warriors express doubts about the worth of such an endeavor, but Ars encourages them to look around and witness the tangible impact they are creating together. Lysander, the soldier who had previously shared his story of loss during one of their gatherings, steps forward to lead a group of fighters in constructing a new well. Let's make this well a symbol of our unity, he calls out, energizing the group. It will provide for the village and remind us that we are stronger together. As they work, Ars notices a shift in attitudes. The warriors who had once been skeptical of collaboration begin to engage more openly, supporting one another in their tasks. Callista, who had been hesitant to fully embrace Horus' vision, finds herself laughing with a soldier from Demetrius' faction as they carry heavy stones together. Their camaraderie, forged in labor, begins to mirror the connections formed during the contests and summits. Despite the hard work, there are moments of levity. Ars encourages friendly competitions during breaks, whether it's seeing who can throw a stone the farthest or who can tell the best joke. The laughter that erupts from these moments serves as a reminder that they can celebrate their shared humanity even in the midst of hard labor. However, as days turn into weeks, Ars begins to notice a growing restlessness among some factions. While the initial enthusiasm for collaboration remains, there are murmurs of doubt simmering beneath the surface. Demetrius, in particular, becomes increasingly vocal about his concerns that they are losing sight of their foundational values. During a meeting to discuss the progress of the community projects, Demetrius stands up, his expression grim. We must remember who we are. Our strength comes from our ability to fight, to defend our honor. These projects, while noble, may be diverting us from our true purpose. The room is tense as warriors exchange glances, unsure of how to respond. Ars senses the unease, aware that this is a pivotal moment. He knows that he must address these concerns head-on to keep the spirit of collaboration alive. Demetrius, I understand your worries, Ars replies, choosing his words carefully. But we are not abandoning our strength, we are redefining it. True honor is not only found in battle but also in how we uplift one another and protect our communities. By investing in each other, we are creating a legacy that honors our shared humanity. Callista steps forward, her brow furrowed. But can we sustain this? Will our enemies not see this as an opportunity to strike while we are distracted? We cannot afford to let our guard down. Ars nods, acknowledging their concerns. I do not deny the reality of threats, but we must also recognize that unity can be our greatest defense. When we fight together, we are not only stronger in battle, we are also fostering relationships that make us resilient in ways that solitary strength cannot. The conversation grows heated, with voices rising as warriors express their fears and frustrations. Yet amidst the tension, Ars sees a flicker of understanding beginning to emerge. Perhaps this dialogue can lead to a deeper exploration of what it means to balance their commitments to both strength and collaboration. Determined to foster this understanding, Ars proposes a new approach, a joint training session that combines their traditional combat techniques with collaborative strategies. Let's face our enemies together, not just as individual warriors, but as a united front, he suggests. We can adapt our strengths to ensure that we are prepared for whatever comes our way. The warriors murmur among themselves, considering the proposal. Slowly, a sense of agreement begins to build. Ars can see that they are beginning to understand that the path forward requires a delicate balance that honors both their traditions and the new connections they have forged. With the joint training session on the horizon, Ars feels a renewed sense of hope. He knows that while there will always be challenges, each step taken together is a step towards transformation. As warriors prepare to face not just external threats, but also their internal fears, Ars is determined to lead the way. On the day of the joint training, the anticipation is palpable. Warriors from different factions gather, ready to showcase their unique skills while learning from one another. Ars stands at the center, watching as they form teams, knowing that this will be an opportunity to reinforce both their individual strengths and their collective resilience. Today, he calls out, we blend our skills to create something greater. Let's learn from one another, adapt our techniques and prove that we can face any challenge together. As the training sessions unfold, Ars is amazed by the energy and enthusiasm of the warriors. They engage in drills that require communication and teamwork, learning to rely on one another in ways they had not previously considered. The atmosphere is charged with excitement, and Ars can see the bonds between factions strengthening with every exercise. Warriors from rival factions spar with one another, pushing each other to new heights while maintaining a spirit of respect. Ars watches as Callista partners with a soldier from Demetrius' faction, their competitive spirits igniting a fire that drives them to excel. Laughter and shouts of encouragement fill the air, creating an electric energy that fuels the training. As the day progresses, Ars feels the spirit of collaboration flourish. The warriors begin to embrace the idea that they are not just fighting for their own honor but for the honor of their allies as well. Each victory in training becomes a shared triumph, reinforcing the notion that they are stronger together. By the end of the day, Ars gathers the warriors once more, their faces flushed with excitement and camaraderie. What we've built here today is more than just a series of drills. We've forged connections that will serve us well in times of conflict. Let's carry this spirit of unity with us always. As the warriors cheer, Oz recognizes that while challenges may still lie ahead, they are now equipped with the understanding that their strength is enhanced through collaboration. The journey toward lasting peace is ongoing, but he feels a profound sense of hope as he envisions a future where warriors stand together, united in purpose and spirit. As he looks out at the crowd, Oz realizes that he has not only guided them toward a new way of being but has also rediscovered the essence of his own identity. He is the god of war, yes, but he is also a guardian of connection, a force that can transcend the chaos of conflict and nurture the bonds that hold them together. With renewed determination, Oz embraces the path ahead, ready to continue his quest for understanding and unity. He knows that the road may be long, but each step they take together brings them closer to a legacy that honors both their past and their shared future. As the weeks turn into months, Oz finds himself at a pivotal moment in his mission to cultivate unity among the factions. The joint training sessions have become a valued tradition, bringing warriors together to share techniques, stories, and laughter. However, Oz knows all too well that while they are making strides, the underlying tensions are still present, bubbling just beneath the surface. One crisp morning, Oz stands atop a hill overlooking the training grounds, contemplating how to deepen these connections. He can see warriors engaged in drills, pairs sparring as they exchange tips and strategies. It's heartening to witness their progress, yet Oz feels a looming sense of urgency. He knows that external threats still exist, and the warriors must be prepared for the challenges ahead. Encouraged by the success of their gatherings and training sessions, Oz proposes an ambitious idea to the leaders of each faction, a joint mission to protect a nearby village threatened by bandits. The village, once a prosperous hub, has fallen victim to raids, and Oz believes that uniting their forces to defend it would not only solidify their bonds, but also demonstrate the strength of collaboration in action. As he presents the plan during a peace council meeting, there's a palpable mix of excitement and apprehension in the air. This mission is an opportunity for us to stand together, to show that our alliances are not just words, but actions, Oz declares, his eyes scanning the room. Imagine the impact we can have not just on the village, but on the perception of our factions. Demetrius, ever the realist, raises a skeptical eyebrow. And what if we fail? What if our divisions resurface in this heat of battle? We could endanger not only the village, but also our newly formed alliances. Oz nods, understanding the weight of the concern. I acknowledge the risks, Demetrius, but think of the rewards. This is not just a mission to protect a village, it's a chance to prove to ourselves and to our enemies that we are stronger together. We will train and strategize as one, ensuring that we are prepared for whatever challenges lie ahead. As the leader's deliberate mix of enthusiasm and trepidation fills the room, Oz emphasizes the importance of preparation, promising that they will spend the next few weeks devising a comprehensive strategy to ensure the mission's success. He proposes joint drills, where factions can collaborate to develop a unified approach to combat, so they are ready for any eventuality. Slowly, the enthusiasm begins to build. Callista expresses her support, eager to strengthen her warriors' skills through shared training. Lysander speaks up, advocating for the mission as a way to honor the villagers and their sacrifices. One by one, the leaders begin to rally behind Eris' vision, recognizing the potential impact of their collaboration. As they finalize the details, Oz feels a sense of exhilaration. This mission represents a critical turning point, a chance to transform their alliances from mere words into action. He knows that the stakes are high, but the potential for success is even greater. In the weeks leading up to the mission, Oz leads intense training sessions, focusing not only on combat skills, but also on building trust among the warriors. They engage in exercises that require them to rely on one another, developing strategies that emphasize teamwork and communication. The camaraderie among the soldiers grows as they share meals and stories between drills, and Oz can feel the bond strengthening. On the eve of the mission, Oz gathers the warriors for a final briefing. The sun sets behind them, casting a warm glow over the assembled factions. Tomorrow, we protect something more than a village, he says, his voice steady and inspiring. We protect our newfound bonds and the future we have forged together. We will face any threat as one, and in doing so we will redefine what it means to be warriors. The warriors nod in agreement, their spirits high. Oz can sense the determination in their hearts, and he knows that they are ready to face the challenge ahead. That night, they share stories around a roaring fire, laughter mingling with the crackling flames. Oz listens to their hopes and fears, and he feels a deep sense of connection to them all. As dawn breaks, Ars rises early, feeling a mixture of excitement and anxiety. He knows that this mission could be a defining moment for everyone involved. The warriors gather their gear, preparing for the journey to the village, and Ars shares a few quiet moments with each faction, offering words of encouragement and support. Once they arrive at the village, Ars takes a moment to appreciate its beauty, even in its vulnerability. The villagers greet them with hope in their eyes, knowing that these warriors have come together to protect them. Ars feels a surge of responsibility, understanding the weight of their expectations. As preparations ramp up, Ars leads the warriors in formulating a strategy for the impending confrontation with the bandits. He assigns roles based on each warrior's strengths, ensuring that they are not only prepared for combat but also equipped to support one another. The atmosphere is charged with purpose as they review their plan, and Ars can sense the commitment fueling them. The sun hovers high in the sky, casting a warm glow over the village as the day unfolds. Ars watches as the villagers go about their daily lives, unaware of the impending threat. He feels a sense of urgency, knowing that they must act swiftly to protect their newfound allies. As the time approaches for their confrontation, Ars gathers the warriors once more, their faces determined and resolute. Remember, this battle is not just about defeating our enemies, it's about standing together as one. Let's show them the strength that lies in our unity. As they prepare for the encounter, Ars can feel the tension in the air. He knows that despite their preparations, the chaos of battle can unravel even the best-laid plans. But he also believes that their shared experiences and newfound bonds will guide them through whatever challenges arise. When the bandits finally appear on the horizon, Ars feels his heart race. As the adversaries approach, he can see the sneers on their faces, the arrogance of those who thrive on chaos. But this time, Ars is ready. Form ranks, he shouts, his voice booming across the field. The warriors quickly align themselves, and Ars can see the flickers of determination in their eyes. They stand shoulder to shoulder, a united front forged through their shared experiences. As the bandits charge, Ars leads the charge alongside his warriors, feeling a sense of exhilaration as they fight back. He watches as the warriors work together seamlessly, employing the strategies they had practiced. The sound of clashing steel and battle cries fills the air, but amidst the chaos, Ars feels a deep sense of connection to his fellow fighters. Fighting alongside them, he can see the way they cover each other's backs, the way they communicate without words. It's a dance of strength and trust, and Ars feels a surge of pride knowing that they have come this far together. In the heat of battle, Ars sees Callista and Lysander team up, their movements synchronized as they take down an adversary together. The way they work together speaks volumes about the progress they've made. Even Demetrius, who had once been skeptical, fights valiantly alongside warriors he once viewed as rivals. As the battle rages on, Ars realizes that they are not just fighting for the village, they are fighting for something greater. They are fighting for the relationships they've built, the connections they've formed, and the future they've envisioned. The tide of battle shifts as they push back the bandits, their unity overwhelming the adversaries. Ars feels the energy of the warriors around him, their determination propelling them forward. One by one, the bandits begin to retreat, realizing that they are no match for the united front before them. As the dust settles and victory is achieved, Ars stands in the midst of the warriors, their faces flushed with triumph. He can hardly believe the transformation that has taken place not just within the village, but within the hearts of the warriors themselves. In the aftermath, as they help the villagers recover, Ars feels a swell of pride. This mission has not only safeguarded the village, but has also reinforced the bonds among the factions. The shared experience of fighting side by side has brought them closer together, solidifying their commitment to one another. Gathering the warriors for a moment of reflection, Ars addresses them, his voice filled with gratitude. Today we showed the world the power of unity. We proved that when we stand together we are unstoppable. This victory is not just us, it belongs to every warrior who dared to believe in a future defined by collaboration. As cheers erupt around him, Ars feels a sense of fulfillment wash over him. They have faced the chaos of battle and emerged stronger, not just as individual warriors, but as a collective force. This mission has become a testament to the strength of their connections, and Ars knows that their journey is far from over. As evening falls, the village comes alive with celebration. Villagers gather around fires, sharing stories of bravery and gratitude. Ars joins in, laughing and celebrating alongside the warriors, feeling the warmth of community enveloping them. In that moment, Ars reflects on his journey as a god of war. He understands that the path to unity is not always linear, but he is more committed than ever to forging connections that transcend conflict. With newfound determination, he embraces the role of guardian not just of war, but of understanding, compassion, and hope. As the stars twinkle in the night sky, Ars gazes up, feeling a sense of purpose that fuels him. He is ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead, knowing that he is not alone on this journey. Together, they can create a legacy that honors their past while paving the way for a brighter future, a future defined not by endless conflict but by the bonds of brotherhood and sisterhood that emerge from shared experience. In the weeks following the victory at the village, Ars finds himself basking in the glow of newfound camaraderie. The success of the joint mission has breathed life into his vision for collaboration among warriors, and he marvels at how far they have come since the days when skepticism and rivalry reigned. Yet he knows that this momentum must be nurtured carefully to solidify the bonds they have forged. To ensure that the spirit of unity endures, Ars dedicates himself to the idea of a festival of unity. This festival would celebrate the warriors' achievements, their shared experiences, and the connections they have built. He envisions a grand celebration filled with games, storytelling, and shared meals, where warriors from all factions can come together and revel in their victories. As Ars begins planning the festival, he consults with leaders from various factions. He encourages them to contribute ideas, ensuring that everyone feels invested in the celebration. The response is overwhelmingly positive, with warriors excitedly brainstorming activities that reflect their traditions and cultures. As the preparations unfold, Ars notices how the once fractured alliances have transformed into something beautiful. Warriors who were once enemies now collaborate on organizing the festival, each faction offering unique contributions. Callista proposes a series of athletic competitions, while Demetrius suggests storytelling sessions where warriors can share their personal journeys. The buzz of anticipation fills the air as the festival day draws nearer. Ars can feel the excitement building among the villagers, who are eager to join in the festivities. He understands that this celebration is about more than just fun. It's an opportunity to reinforce the bonds that have been cultivated through shared experiences. When the day of the Festival of Unity finally arrives, Ars stands at the entrance of the village, surveying the vibrant scene unfolding before him. Banners adorned with symbols of each faction flutter in the breeze, and the air is filled with the sounds of laughter and music. Villagers and warriors alike gather in the central square, ready to celebrate their collective achievements. As Ars walks through the festival, he feels a rush of pride. He watches as warriors engage in friendly competitions, archery contests, races, and tug-of-war games that pit factions against one another in a spirit of fun rather than rivalry. Each event is marked by laughter, cheers, and playful banter, transforming the spirit of competition into a celebration of unity. Ars finds himself drawn to a gathering where warriors share stories of bravery and resilience. Each tale is woven with threads of vulnerability, and the participants listen intently, honoring the complexities of one another's experiences. Ars steps forward to share his own story, recounting his journey as the god of war and the lessons he has learned about connection and understanding. This festival is a testament to our growth, he declares, his voice resonating with passion. We have the power to redefine what it means to be warriors. Honor is found not just in our strength but in our ability to forge bonds that transcend conflict. As the day unfolds, the festival deepens the connections among the warriors and villagers. They share meals, exchanging cultural dishes that highlight their diverse backgrounds. A sense of community permeates the air, and Ars realizes that the festival has become a living embodiment of the vision he had fought so hard to achieve. In the evening, as the sun dips below the horizon, the festival culminates in a grand ceremony. Ars stands alongside the leaders of each faction, feeling a swell of gratitude as he addresses the gathered crowd. Tonight we celebrate not just our achievements but the bonds that we have forged. We are no longer defined by our differences, we are united in purpose and spirit. As he speaks, Ars looks out at the faces before him, warriors who have embraced the challenge of collaboration and the villagers who have welcomed them into their lives. In that moment, he feels a profound sense of fulfillment, knowing that the journey he embarked upon has brought him to this very place. After the ceremony, the festivities continue late into the night, and Ars joins in the revelry. He dances alongside the warriors and villagers, feeling the rhythm of joy that permeates the air. Laughter mingles with music, creating an atmosphere that transcends the burdens of war and conflict. Yet, even amidst the celebration, Ars is mindful of the challenges that still lie ahead. He knows that while they have come so far, there are still those who resist change, who cling to old ways and long-standing rivalries. But as he dances and celebrates, he feels a surge of hope that resonates within him. Together, They have demonstrated the strength of unity, and he believes that this spirit can continue to flourish. As the night draws to a close, Oz finds a quiet moment to reflect under the stars, feeling a sense of gratitude for the warriors who have embraced this journey with him. He realizes that the path to lasting change is not a solitary one. It is paved by the collective efforts and shared experiences of those who dare to believe in something greater. In the days that follow the festival, Oz focuses on solidifying the lessons learned. He encourages the warriors to share their experiences with their communities, fostering a culture of understanding and collaboration that extends beyond the battlefield. The sentiment of unity begins to permeate the villages, inspiring others to embrace the spirit of cooperation. As Oz moves forward, he understands that he is not just a god of war but a guardian of connection, a force that can nurture understanding even in times of conflict. He feels empowered to continue his mission, knowing that the bonds forged during the festival serve as a foundation for the future. One evening, as Oz walks along the banks of the river where he often finds solace, he reflects on the incredible journey he has undertaken. He recalls the battles, both literal and metaphorical, that have shaped him. Oz understands that the heart of a warrior encompasses not only strength and resilience but also compassion and the willingness to embrace change. With a renewed sense of purpose, Oz turns his gaze toward the horizon. He knows that the journey toward lasting peace is ongoing, and while there may be challenges ahead, he is determined to face them with the same fervor that has guided him thus far. In that moment of quiet reflection, Oz vows to continue championing the spirit of collaboration to help forge connections that transcend the chaos of conflict. He will be the catalyst for change, a beacon of hope for warriors who seek to redefine their legacy. As he walks back toward the village, the stars twinkling above him, Oz feels a profound sense of belonging. He is not alone in this journey. The warriors and villagers stand beside him, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. Together, they will continue to honor their shared humanity, proving that even in a world defined by conflict, unity can flourish and transform the very essence of existence. With this understanding, Oz embraces his role as a guardian not just of war, but of connection, compassion, and the enduring spirit of humanity.